Hi, good morning. Hello, and happy Memorial Day weekend. Hope you're having a good time and you've got plans to be together with family and friends and have some fun today and tomorrow. So I was thinking this week about one of the first dates that I had with my husband years ago. We went to go see the movie Lawrence of Arabia. It was playing at one of those art house theaters that plays classic films. It was kind of like the Varsity here, but this was in LA. And I mean, Lawrence of Arabia, it's classic, timeless, this epic film, right? And it's based on a true story, right? It's actually the story of T.E. Lawrence. And in fact, during World War I, he fought with the Arab rebellion against, the Ottoman Empire, right? And he actually helped to bring a lot of the disparate tribes together, unified them, and led them to victory. He was quite the hero in that area. And a hero in a way for the British Army. Of course, the British Army had ambitions in that area. And but that's another talk. That's another story. And he actually did don the whole garb, the Arab garb, with the whole the headpiece and the whole robes. He, just like in the film, he did assimilate into the Arab culture. He loved it. And then the war was over. He went back to England and remembered he was British after all. So recently I read a story that's sort of an addendum to the movie. It's kind of where this movie ends and this story begins, is that he brought back with him, when he returned to England, a few of the Arab sheikhs, and to show them his country and meet the queen and be decorated and all of that. And the story goes that he brings them to his house and offers them that they could have anything that they wanted, whatever it was that they enjoyed in his home. He said, go ahead, you can have this, take it home with you. Now, apparently this is really a beautiful tradition, custom in the Islamic tradition, that when somebody you admire and love and respect comes into your home, you offer them whatever it is that they have, fancied, just, take that home. So beautiful, right? So the Arab sheikhs take Colonel Lawrence into the bathroom and point to the faucet and say, that, I want to take that home. So you can understand that coming from a place where water is scarce to non-existent, and then coming to a place where water flows abundantly just by turning on the faucet, right? That would be the thing that they'd want to take with them. Of course, they didn't realize that the faucet is connected to the pipes under the sink that weave through the house, that are then connected with larger pipes underground that weave themselves through the city, finally to the water storage facility, a tank. And then before that, right, more pipes lead to a water treatment facility, and then before that, eventually to the source, which is a river or a reservoir or something. And actually, before that, the ultimate source is rainfall, right? That's the heavens is the source. So I want you to think about that faucet for a moment, and how just by turning on the knob, water flows every time, unless you have a plumbing problem, right? And I want you to think about the source, that river or reservoir, and ultimately the rainfall. And actually, the rainfall is part of that whole water cycle. The evaporation from the water droplets from the seas and the lakes, and then it goes into the sky, and the condensation in the clouds, and then the rainfall. It's that water cycle that I think we all learned about in elementary school or something. It's really that divine action, that process of Mother Nature that is the source of the water that flows through the faucet that we turn on, right? And we, as co-creators, create the channels. We channel that abundant flow into our homes, into where we want it, right? Into where we choose. So the same thing is true for us in regards to the flow, the abundant flow of energy, of life energy, the abundant flow of good in our lives, right? The ultimate source is the divine, or God, or infinite intelligence, or pure beingness, or love energy, or whatever it is you want to call it. That's the source, right? Our relationships are not the source. Our job, work, investments, not the source. Our family's not the source. Our government is not the source. Even our spiritual community is not the source. There is only one source, that infinite, invisible, absolute love intelligence that is the source of life, the source of all good. So we don't want to mistake the faucet for the source. That gets us into trouble every time. It disappoints us every time, right? When we mistake the shadow for the substance. Now, those things, the job, the government, the family, spiritual community, those are the channels that, that we have, that channel that abundant flow of good into our lives. That it's the channel. So it's important, right? And it really is the proof that we are co-creators. It's our power as co-creators to channel that flow of divine life energy, divine good into our lives to where we want it. Now, in order to experience an increase in the flow of good in our lives, in any area, whether that's health, well-being, peace, harmony, love, abundance, prosperity, we must do two things. Number one, go directly to the source. Remember the source. Tap into source energy with spiritual practices. And two, turn on the faucet. Turn the knob, right? So, I've spoken here endlessly about the importance of spiritual practice and how we can incorporate that into our daily lives in order to stay connected with source energy, right? So I think today I'll focus on number two, this idea of turning on the faucet, or the various ways that we can turn on the flow of good in our lives. All right, so let's take a breath together. Now, I want you to imagine with me a beautiful faucet. And it could be whatever your definition of beautiful faucet might be. It could be solid gold, or it could be, a sleek, modern kind of brushed chrome thing, whatever is your idea of a beautiful faucet. And then I want you to imagine the handle on that faucet, and the handle spells out the word L-O-V-E. So turning on that handle, right? That's expressing your love. The act of expressing, of connecting with and expressing your love turns on the flow of an abundance of good into your life, into whatever area you're wanting it. So let's look at the different ways that we can intentionally do that. All right, excuse me, just a sec. Okay, so, it could be as simple as sitting and looking out the window, or sitting on the front porch and, the beauty of nature, maybe hearing the birds sing and just really loving the songs of the birds and really opening your heart and allowing that love and appreciation to flow. The sound of the song of the cardinals are just so beautiful. And I think my favorite, though, is a mockingbird. A mockingbird is just the repertoire, right? The repertoire of a mockingbird and how it just moves through from one song to the next without even taking a pause. Just, it's so beautiful. So whenever I hear that, it helps me open my heart and feel a real appreciation flow. It could be just thinking about a loved one, family member, friend, or a beloved, pet. And just, again, opening and allowing that feeling of love and appreciation to flow. So, in order to remember, to remind ourselves of this, I know someone in our community who has created this wonderful deck of heart cards that each one of them is a wonderful reminder about connecting with and opening our heart. So Lorraine Lewis, right? If you have not gotten your deck yet of her heart cards, you need to connect with Lorraine and get your deck. It's just, you just pull one a day and focus on that, maybe put it where you can see it. And just, it's a great reminder about this thing because, you're turning on that faucet of the flow of abundant good by connecting with and expressing that love. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is not as easy as that. In fact, it's a little more challenging, but equally important. And that's this idea of releasing resentments, of forgiveness, because holding resentments and being unwilling to forgive, that's the thing that creates the blockage in those pipes, causes the plumbing problem so that the flow of abundance can't get through. It is the number one thing that creates that blockage. So we really want to understand and practice forgiveness. And, for whoever it is, a lot of people have something about their parents that they haven't yet been able to completely forgive, or maybe it's an ex, or just maybe it's your current spouse that's being a jerk at the moment, or maybe it's a business partner who did something that, ruined a deal, or whatever you feel somebody has betrayed you, disappointed you in a certain way. That's when we need to dig deep and seriously think about and practice the art of forgiveness. And remember, the key to being able to forgive anyone is to keep in mind that we all, every single one of us, we all do the very best we can with the consciousness that we have at the time, right? We can't do anything more. None of us can do anything more than that level of consciousness of where we are. Also, this thing that I talk about in my book, this idea that we are spirit beings and we've incarnated into this dense physical, realm. It's like being, put in the middle of a tall maze in the middle of the night and being expected to find our way out. We're trying to navigate this upside down world that is asleep and dreaming a dream of separation. And so making our way through, we bump into walls, we make mistakes, right? We all do. Now, hopefully we're learning from our mistakes and we're correcting our direction. But, some people take a little longer than others. So keeping that in mind helps us open our heart to compassion, which begins the forgiveness process, right? And then it clears the channels, it clears the pipes so that abundance of good can flow again, and we can turn on that faucet. We can turn on that knob of love and get that love flowing back in our lives again. All right. So another way to turn on that knob of love is to give. To give, it could be something simple. Just give a little kindness, a smile. Sometimes people just need you to listen to them. So just give your ear, your time, your heart to listen compassionately. Giving, sharing of our time, our talents, our treasure. Boy, that turns on that faucet big time. Sharing of our time, our talent, our treasure, right? Sharing of who we are and what we have. This beautiful idea that in the Islamic culture, this tradition of inviting people in, that you love and admire into your home, and something, if they admire something in your home, oh, I love that vase, it's yours, take it home. Now I have to say, in order to do that, you've got to practice some serious non-attachment, right? I mean, I'm thinking about this idea this week and thinking, wow, okay, can I do this? And, can I invite friends in that I love and, and respect and honor? And, if they like something in my house, here, take it. I can just imagine myself, oh, but not that piece of art that has so much meaning for me, or my Nespresso machine. No, take anything but my Nespresso machine. I need that. So, could take some practice in non-attachment, I think. I think I'd really need to practice that. Okay, but seriously, giving in any way we can opens up the flow of good. When we do it with love, that's the key, right? If we're giving from a sense of obligation, doesn't cut it. We got to come from a place of love. So I want to open it up to you who are here participating with me today to share in the comment section, so that we can share with each other ways that you are thinking about, that are ways that you can turn on that faucet of love, ways that are an expression of love, of connecting with and expressing love, and just kind of share with each other. And, I can't see it, but you can see, you can see each other's shares. And, it could be, something, it might be of being of service, right? That's another way that we give, being of service when we do it with love, whether that's for, the larger community, volunteering at a food pantry or homeless shelter, or something, helping to stand up and march for what we believe in. It could be being of service in this community, in this spiritual community. So something that you believe in and you want to support and see grow. Serving in that way can be, really valuable and certainly appreciated. So think of all of the different ways, and maybe today, just take some time and really think of ways that you're turning on that knob of love. And as you do, you're connected. So there's two things here, right? Two things to keep in mind. Number one, go directly to the source. Don't confuse the source with the channel. Go directly to the source and tap into source energy with spiritual practices. And two, turn on the faucet. Turn on that power of love. Expressing our love really creates the channels through which an abundance of good, an abundance of peace, of love, of joy, of well-being, health and well-being, an abundance of prosperity, all of that. And whatever it is, in whatever area that you're wanting to experience an increase in that flow, that's where you want to turn on more of that faucet. So now, every time you do this, right? Every time you turn on your literal faucet to brush your teeth or wash your hands or wash your dishes, you're going to remember this, right? You're going to remember that this key to turning on the flow of an abundance in your life is as straightforward and as simple as opening your heart, connecting and expressing that love. So I'd like to close with, we've been exploring the beautiful Islamic Sufi culture. So in alignment with that, I'd like to read something from Rumi, the wonderful poet Rumi. And Rumi, he talks about and writes about the beloved. He expresses that idea, the beloved. And when I read that, I think he's talking about that infinite divine love energy, that God presence, Christ presence, or love intelligence within me. So whatever it is that you connect with, that's, just turn within and feel that. Okay. Open the window of your heart and look at the beloved's face. Love's task is to create that window so his beauty may illuminate the heart. It is in your power, my friend, to gaze constantly at the beloved's face. Make a way to the core of yourself and banish all other impressions. You possess an elixir. Apply it, and by its alchemy, you will turn your enemies into friends. Thus, perfecting yourself, you will be able to reflect the beloved, whose grace is the nourishment of spirit. Peace and blessings. Namaste.